Ambassador Kelthra had always found humans to be refreshingly civilized compared to other species in the Galactic Coalition. They spoke of peace, diplomacy, and cooperation with such earnestness that many alien species had dismissed them as naive idealists. That perception changed forever during a routine cultural exchange aboard the diplomatic vessel Harmony's Edge. The discussion had started innocently enough. Representatives from 7 different species were sharing their military histories, when the topic turned to battlefield conduct. The Vordak delegate, a massive insected warrior, boasted about his people's scorched earth tactics. "We leave nothing behind," he chittered proudly. "Total elimination of enemy resources ensures swift victory." The crystalline hegemony's representative pulsed with agreement. "Efficiency over sentiment. We simply dissolve opposing populations at the molecular level. Clean. Quick." Around the table, other species nodded approvingly. This was, after all, how civilized warfare was conducted: complete annihilation to prevent future conflicts. Only the human representative, Staff Sergeant Maria Santos of the Terran Marines, remained silent, her expression growing increasingly troubled. "What about you, Sergeant Santos?" asked Ambassador Kelthra. "How do humans conduct warfare? Your species has such a reputation for gentleness." Santos looked up from her clasped hands, something dark flickering behind her eyes. "We have rules." The Vordak delegate's mandibles clicked with amusement. "Rules? In warfare? How delightfully primitive." "War crimes," Santos said quietly. "We call them war crimes." The table fell silent. The concept was foreign to most species present. "Explain," Kelthra requested, her scientific curiosity piqued. Santos stood and walked to the viewing port, staring out at the stars. "Things we don't do. Lines we don't cross. Even when we're trying to kill each other. Such as?" prompted the ethereal collective's representative. "We don't target civilians. We don't torture prisoners. We don't use biological weapons, chemical weapons, or anything designed to cause unnecessary suffering." Santos turned back to face the group. "We don't rape, pillage, or deliberately destroy cultural sites. We don't use hospitals or schools as shields, and we don't attack them either." The silence stretched uncomfortably long. Finally, the Matherian delegate spoke, his translator struggling with the concept. "But why would you limit your effectiveness? War is about victory." Santos' laugh was bitter. "You think these rules make us weak?" "Obviously." The Vordak warrior rumbled. "You handicap yourselves. Let me tell you about the Geneva Conventions," Santos said, returning to her seat. "They weren't created because we're gentle. They were created because we're not." She activated her personal display, showing historical human conflicts. "These rules exist because we discovered we could be so monstrous, so creative in our cruelty, that we horrified ourselves. We made laws to limit our own capacity for evil." The images flashed by: ancient battlefields, medieval sieges, industrial age warfare. "Every rule we made was written in blood. Every prohibition exists because someone somewhere did something so terrible that our entire species said never again." Ambassador Kelthra's 4 eyes widened as the implication sank in. "You mean, these crimes you've outlawed, your species actually did all of them, perfected most of them, got so good at finding new ways to make each other suffer that we had to create an entire branch of law just to define what counted as too far." The crystalline representative's light dimmed. "But your literature speaks of honor, mercy, compassion." "Because we learned we needed those things," Santos replied. "When you're capable of true evil, choosing good becomes meaningful. When you can destroy everything, protecting something becomes an act of will." She pulled up another display, showing modern human peacekeeping forces. "These soldiers aren't limited by the Geneva Conventions. They're empowered by them. They know exactly where the line is, and they choose not to cross it, even when crossing it would be easier. The Vortak delegate shifted uncomfortably. You're saying these rules make you stronger? I'm saying these rules make us human, Santos replied. Any species can be destructive. It takes wisdom to be selective about it. Ambassador Kelthara found her voice. What happens when someone breaks these rules? Santos' expression hardened. War crimes tribunals. International courts. We hunt down our own people and put them on trial. Because the rules aren't just for our enemies, they're for us. And if an enemy doesn't follow your rules? Asked the Metherian. Then we have a choice, Santos said quietly. Stay human, or become the monsters we're capable of being. Most of the time, we choose to stay human. But when we don't... She paused, meeting each alien's gaze in turn. Well, that's when you learn why we needed the rules in the first place. The room remained silent as the implications settled in. These humans, these seemingly gentle diplomats and peacemakers, weren't naive at all. They were reformed predators who had stared into their own abyss and chosen to step back from it. Your species, Kelthara said slowly, is far more dangerous than we realized. Santos nodded grimly. The most dangerous thing about humans isn't that we're willing to fight. It's that we're willing to limit how we fight. Because that means we've thought very carefully about all the ways we could destroy you, and we've chosen not to. She gathered her materials and headed for the door. Sleep well, ambassadors. And remember, every human you meet has that same choice to make every day. So far, we keep choosing mercy. The door closed behind her, leaving 7 species to contemplate a terrifying new understanding of human nature. They weren't harmless idealists after all. They were something far more frightening, monsters who had learned to be moral,